guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Stacie Jae, and I'm back with a very important topic that I wanted to discuss. It's your girl Stacie Jae. Before we get into the topic of today's video, I wanted to tell y'all a real quick story about me when I was about 20 years old, I think, 21 years old. So I was living in San Antonio, Texas, and I had my car. I had this car since I was 18, and so at this point I'd had it for about 3 years. And so my car had broken down on me a couple of times, but I had, pretty much keeping great maintenance up with the vehicle, so it was running fairly well. I don't know what I was going through in my young adult life, but my check engine light started coming on my vehicle. So in the back of my mind, I was just like, okay, I'll just get to it whenever, And so it had been so long since that check engine light came on. Literally, it was like I would get in my car and I wouldn't even see it. Like, that's just how on the light was all the time. I thought it was supposed to be, okay? And then I had my tire light. It came on. And then I had another light that came on. And so all these lights are popping up on my dashboard, and I'm just still driving my car like regular. I think it had needed an oil change really bad at that point. But I was like, oh, I'll just get to it whenever. And I was really working. I was a manager at a restaurant, and so I was working a whole bunch of hours, and just, on the days that I did, that's what was going on. I was working a lot, but still, there's still no excuse not to keep the maintenance up on your vehicle, but I didn't. And so a few months of this, check engine light, every time I get in the car, just see it, whatever. But after a while, I just started ignoring it toward, obviously I didn't see it anymore. So I'm driving down 410 and my engine, like my car starts like shaking, and so I have to pull over, and I noticed that the hood of my car is starting to smoke. So I popped the hood and lifted open, and just all of this white smoke just like bellows out, and it's coming out so fast, and it's so white, and it's so thick that it scares me, because I'm starting to think my car is on fire. So I quickly grab my purse, my keys, my phone, and I start walking down the highway because I'm nervous, because I'm like, well, I don't want to be standing here if my car decides to blow up. So I call and get some help. I get my car towed to a mechanic, and so when I get to the car repair shop where my car is at, I'm like panicking, because I'm like, oh my God, what can I do? Like, how much is this gonna cost me? And and I'm just like in freak out mode, right? Like, as if for the past couple of months all these damn check engine lights weren't on in my vehicle, right? So I'm like panicking, and I'm just like, sir, like, what can I do? How much is it gonna cost? How long is it gonna take? And he's just kind of looking at me like, your car is done. Like, there's no repairing this. Your engine blew up. I think that's what happened here, and like, your car is completely finished. And I'm like, what? Like, I can't even repair this? Like, this is it? He's like, yeah. He's like, when he starts asking me questions like, well, when's the last time you had an oil change, and when's the last time you had this type of maintenance and that type of maintenance? And I didn't really have an answer, because it had been so long. All the lights had been on so long, and had just been ignoring it. And I'm just like, well, damn. So I said all that. And so needless to say, my car was a complete and total loss. And I ended up having to buy a new car. So I did. And it cost me a whole bunch of money. And I was really upset about it. But, I got through it. So, But the point that I'm trying to make with that story is this. I'm going to use that story in reference to mental health. I feel like a lot of times there are warning signs and warning signals that pop up in our own personal lives that let us know that we need to seek therapy, or we need to get some sort of guidance or counseling. And I want to steer away or take away the stigma of going to seek professional medical attention as far as therapy is concerned, because therapy, take it from somebody who experienced it. Take it from somebody who literally experienced probably the worst childhood trauma you could ever experience, and couple that with being black and being a woman and all the the stuff that comes along with that. and then coming from a single parent home, things of that nature, right? So couple all of that, yeah, that's a lot to process, especially if you don't have the language or the necessary life skills or the life tools to kind of break all that down, process it so that you can make peace with that. I know for me, I literally had to, it got so bad to where it was just manifesting in, like, my anger and my trauma was manifesting in my relationships. It was coming up and bubbling up in my friendships. It was coming up in my work environment. You know, if every job I go to, I'm getting into with 2 or 3 people, not just one person, but like this one over here and that one over there, and I mean like full out cussing you out in your face, like about to go to blows, it might not just be them. So, you know, I had to take a step back and kind of do an assessment on my life and just kind of see, well, you know, if you keep having issues with like everybody that you're coming into contact with, maybe it's not everybody. You know, maybe it's you. And that was a hard pill to have to swallow. And it took me a long time to swallow that pill, but I did, and understood and realized that I couldn't, all of the stress and the trauma that I've experienced, it was too much for me to take on alone. I knew that, you know, I had God, I had my family, but I needed professional help. And in our community, it's kind of like a stigma to seek therapy. You know, they might even call you crazy, but I promise you, you guys, it's literally the best decision I've ever could have made for my life. Because when you're in that, and you're in that state of being where you're defensive and don't trust anybody and you're hypersensitive, and you know, it's because you don't know how to make peace with your past. That's why it keeps affecting your future. And until you make peace with that, you know, your future's going to be just a little bit harder than if you were to just go ahead and seek any type of help. But you know, I strongly recommend a therapist because they have gone to school to, you know, gain the necessary tools and the skill set to really teach you and help you to process, you know, all of these things that you've been through in your life. I want to scream it from the rooftops. You know, we live in a generation now where we actually have the luxury to talk about this kind of thing. There's still somewhat of a small stigma attached to it, but I want to be able to make this type of conversation normal. I want, you know, us to be able to talk to our friends. One of the best things, oh, I know I said I was gonna cry, but I'm not gonna cry. So I just got reminded by this story. So when I told a very, very, very close friend of mine that I was thinking about going to therapy, because, you know, I had just kind of basically, I was at my wit's end. I literally just didn't know what else to do. I had literally exhausted all of my options, much like and ignored all the signs, and things just started blowing up in my face. And you know, it was just one of those things where it was just like, like, okay, so I'm really starting to feel like therapy might be my only option at this point. So I expressed that to a friend of mine, and she offered to pay for my first month's co-pays for my sessions, which honestly was the sweetest thing that anybody could have done for me, and the best thing that anybody could have done for me, because, and it wasn't even the money for me, it was the fact that she was willing to be that supportive. Of course I broke down and started crying, and so thank you, Michelle. I know I didn't want to, you know, shout your name out, but I kind of want to give credit where credit is due, because you were literally like the catalyst for me to go to therapy, because you used to tell me that's what I needed. And I used to be like, girl, whatever. But she was absolutely right. And so I want to say to all of my people out there, if you feel like, you know, nothing is going right, and you know that you have some underlying issues, some past childhood traumas, some things that you may have experienced growing up, you know, we all go through stuff. We all have a story to tell. But your future self deserves to be healthy, deserves to be happy, and deserves to be at peace with their past. And therapy, you guys, is probably the best catalyst or the best vehicle to get there. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty damn close. The peace that I have, the happiness that I have, the control that I have, because anger for me was, I guess, the way that I used to express how I was feeling, which was just really hurt and betrayal and, you know, not feeling loved and supported. So, you know, I was expressing all of that through anger because that was the only way I knew how to express myself. But, you know, for me, you guys, I just, to be in this space of just happiness, and things still come up, things still happen, but I process them differently because I now have the tools to really kind of sit back and assess and don't be so quick to react. You know, but therapy's taught me all of that. So I made this video mainly to speak to those of you who might be on the fence about going to therapy, or maybe never really even thought about going to therapy. I offer you this. Your future self deserves it. I've never been happier in my life, and I have to credit therapy for that. So you owe it to yourself. At least give it a try. Some of my recommendations when finding a therapist, definitely find someone that looks like you. I know for me it helped to have a black woman be my therapist because I felt like she could relate to me in the, you know, just different struggles. So, you know, try them out, because she wasn't the first therapist that I went to. I actually went to somebody before her and they weren't a fit, and I had to be honest with myself about that, and I had to be honest with her about that, and just appreciated her for at least trying to help me and thank her for that. But I had to find the right person. So sometimes the first person you go to might not be the right person. It needs to be somebody that you're absolutely comfortable with, because you're going to be telling them a lot. You're going to be telling them your past, which oddly enough is a little bit easier than talking to your friends, you know. So because your friends, they're a little biased, they know you, so you know there's some history there. With a therapist, it's their job. They're not going to go home and talk to their homeboys or their friends or anything about your situation, because legally they can't, one, but two, it's their job to help you. So you don't have to worry about, you know, people talking or anything like that. So again, I offer to go to therapy, seek therapy. Down in the comment section below, I will put some resources that will kind of help you get started on finding you a therapist in your hometown. But I just want to thank you guys so much for stopping by. I hope this message helps at least one person. You know, this is a topic that I wish I could just scream from the rooftops, and it's so important to me, and I really just hope that everybody lives a happy, healthy life. So thank y'all for tuning in, and I can't wait to see y'all in the next video. Bye.